and gotten a glimpse of potential chaos in your world. Now is the time for you to cry out and signal the rest of the galaxy that Earthlings are ready to become alchemists, and your scientists are willing to teach all of them. Even Anu, the leader of the Anunnaki, calls these Zionist religious fanatics.
In 1927, at the 5th Solvay Conference on Physics in Brussels, Belgium, a new proposal of mind over matter was admitted to try to resolve inexplicable behaviors on quantum mechanics. With the greatest minds in physics attending, such as Einstein, Pauli, Dirac, Bohr, Heisenberg, Curie, de Broglie, Schrödinger, just to name a few, the subject of consciousness and the atomic world was at hand. Heisenberg and Bohr approached Einstein with a new theory that the minds of the researchers were affecting the results of the experiments. The mathematics of predictability were not repeatable and reliable enough to explain what was happening. Einstein could not accept this at first because it violated all mathematical models. Years later, he admitted it was happening. Einstein said, "Anyone who becomes seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced that there is a spirit manifest in the laws of the universe, a spirit vastly superior to that of man." A spirit is not a mechanical force like gravity, electromagnetism, or the strong and the weak forces. A spirit is consciousness. So for Einstein to have made this great transformation can only mean that something convinced him that it was really happening, that the universe is alive, and we are part of it. Did great powers hide the truth about what was discovered at the conference because they knew they could not control us if we knew the secret powers of our minds and collective consciousness? All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force is the existence of a conscious and intelligent...
In cosmic science, we teach that it was the second Holy Trinity, the subdivision of Prime Creator of itself into three orders of the Yanas, in the form of the Melchizedek, Christ, and Supreme Being personality of Godhead orders, giving each order its own representative color: blue for Melchizedek, gold for the Christ, and amethyst for the Supreme Beings.
God.
The Christ order is extremely important because it allows for the manifestation of density in the creation for the very first time. It is absolutely nothing to do with religion, but rather consciousness and knowing how to fly those spaceships from point...
See, this is how it works. When you do the things and do the rituals that's necessary to activate a God consciousness that's based on your study of alchemy and science. This is what he's talking about. Since we are products of the universal science principles of how things work, our whole DNA structure is a library about all the power that's imaginable in the universe. When you start knowing that and you start tapping into that, people be saying that you odd and everything, but you're not odd. You're normal. The oddity is the brainwashed people that went through the schools of the Catholics and the Zionists and the Anunnaki people that screwed their head up when they gave them cereal and Scooby-Doo. So science, when you're in the quest of science, you're in the quest of knowing alchemy. That means you want to be God because you want to know how things work. And you're not going to take nobody bullshit that's going to want you to work all your life just to pay the money back to them because they done overhouse you, overcharge you for the houses, underpaying you, controlling all your food. You wise enough to see that. You saying this is bullshit. I'm not letting them do this to me or nobody else. So you create people to ride through your universe and make sure these busters that you know is gonna always be out here trying to do that shit don't be able to do that. When you become a person that's graduated to this type of knowledge of how things work in your universe, you will be given knowledge to be synonymous with what your task is. So when you pop up on the earth with a bunch of dumbass people that think they're gonna keep enslaving your children forever, and they can't understand that it's only been one day. But because of the limitation of your senses, you've done to yourself, you've done it so long that you believe that you all dug in and should be allowed to continue. And then when someone come and tell you you're busted for the evil shit, brainwashing, honorary stuff you've done to everyone in the name of your false God, and that it's coming to a stop, and you're going to have to deal with the rewards that you won from all that, you had the nerve to want to frown on the person that comes to you and tell you you've been incarcerating all these people and stealing all these shit from them and killing them and raping them and polluting them with drugs and diluting them, and you name it, is what you guys have done. And you got the nerves now to want to get mad at the prophet, along with other dumbass niggas who helped you do it because they don't mind being your servant and praising and worshiping you because it takes too much work to find goodness in self. So they want to be your boy, they want to be your dog. And so they get mad at me for pointing that out to them too. Okay, so that's the reason why I get ostracized by the people I was sent here to help the most. And that's why they asses need help. Okay? But back to the whole bottom line of what he's saying is thought manifestation is when you know that the universe is being set up where the things that you want, all you need to do is think about it, and the materials that's necessary for you to attain it is there. Someone came and stole all the commodities. And when they stole all the commodities, they turned that part of your functional existence of the universe off because it didn't apply anymore. Because now they're standing in the way where everything you're supposed to be making manifest for yourself, the only thing manifested is they bitch asses standing up with big ass guns and grenades and tanks and all this stuff. So it's an experience that the universe put you through, and it's an experience that had to happen because if you don't have any adversity along with prosperity, it'll be off balance. So now everybody is thrown into an arena where it's time for you to figure out what side of the gate you're going to ride on. You got to get off the damn gate. You're not going to be Jesus sad, but at the same time afraid that the earth is coming to an end, knowing your Jesus ain't going to do shit, but you still going to ride with Jesus because that's where the wealth and the privileges is at. This is what has happened on the earth. They took everybody's method of sustainment away from them and then played games with you about who's going to receive what according to who would accept whiteness and albinism as their God. Now it's time off all that bullshit, and people are going to have to return to your God and God itself, where you can start speaking things that you want to be a part of your existence into manifestation, especially if it's divine wants. Because all the negative wants, you see what it gets you. A world like what we all got right now, and I'm sure none of us wants this shit to continue. So the truth of knowledge is now that I am God, and it should be now that I know I am God, coming real soon to you real wise people out there. This is for me right now. I can attain this because I know I got it like that. Some of you out there want Jesus, so you're going to hate me and think that I'm arrogant and cocky. But that's all right because I'm going to make more airplanes fall out of the sky. And it's already raining like hell throughout the rest of the country to create this new vegetation growth that I was just telling you about. And as you can see, Washington and Oregon didn't get any rain, but California and the rest of the country did. So you guys have been real generous in buying the green light that you didn't buy. So you told my mother, fuck you, I don't care if you did give us some good sunshiny weather, we're not giving him shit. And good, because like I said, if I don't be sustained, no one's going to be sustained. And I believe that you guys deserve the privilege of knowing that. When I mean air being my #1 commodity that's going to be shut off. Feel me? It's not going to be shut off. It's just going to have so much damn smoke in it, you're not going to want it.
Point A to point B.
The secret of mind over matter was known 18 years before the first atomic blast at Trinity Site, New Mexico, July 22, 1945.
Current science cannot handle consciousness. Although some people like to say quantum physics can explain consciousness, the fact of the matter is that physics cannot deal with an experiment where a human being is involved in the loop. This goes back to the way quantum physics was originally built back in the teens and 20s and 30s. Whenever there's a conscious observer present, he causes a collapse of the wave function. Now, the wave function is a mathematical construct that describes the waviness of probabilities of events at the quantum level.
And quantum physics is a set of equations that describe how this wave function behaves. When an observer looks at an experiment, he causes a collapse of this wave function. He destroys information. He basically starts the wave function from zero, and things have to start up again. So an observer right now has a chaotic effect in trying to describe or explain what goes on when a person's in the loop. Currently, our physics right now is incomplete. We cannot deal with a consciousness affecting other physical objects in an experiment. We just don't know how to deal with it. So what you find is that most physics experiments keep observers out of the loop. They'll put a scientist outside the box. He gets to look in maybe at the end to see what the results were. But because his consciousness collapses the wave function, they don't let him in. It's like a bull in the china shop. He messes up their predictions, and they don't know how to deal with it.
Did you hear that?
That was a bunch of
The
bullshit.
power of the human body can disrupt scientific experiments, which always kicks back to zero. Now, if those weak two-stranded DNA white bodies can interfere with their scientific experiments, you know these powerful 12-stranded DNA melanated bodies would shut down the entire laboratory.
And this is the reason why their sciences, like what Charles Darwin gave you, are conditionals only to their findings. If anyone else like me would be able to give you some of my science, okay, hypotheses, and then we do a search under conditions that we can all be invited to, and we can all have one condition stay constant that we could draw variations from, and we can all go through the whole spectacle of watching and see what happened. And I bet you will not be able to prove anything other than the fact that white people could not have existed on this planet without there being a source of melanin dominance, blackness, for them to come from. So anytime the universe works under that principle, you cannot pop up with an albino God that is more powerful than all the things in nature that has more melanin than it. And then, to make matters worse, it be male, which is a lesser product than the female, and then rule supreme over her. And he could even produce her physically. So the thing about it is that anyone with a brain will know that all of that shit is bullshit. There's no way you cannot see that. No way at all. And that's the reason why when it's time to get in that ass, you are not going to be cut any slack. Because it's going to be obvious that you remained in that filthiness because of the physical attractions and the impressions that was in your heart that you knew you felt privileged to be able to go do and come back and ask Jesus for forgiveness. But that's why SAR came first, to let you know that that bullshit is not going to fly when you go see my Father. And you understand that shit right now. And I don't care about all you people out there that think I'm mental and crazy and retarded. You can think that. But the thing about it is there's nothing bizarre or odd about me telling you the truth. What's bizarre and odd is you done sat around here all this time living it's halfway into divineness and halfway out because of that Christiana privilege bullshit, hating each other all in church, hating people in your family, everything that is so ungodly, but you holding on to it because you ain't got no spirituality coming out of that religion. You're giving spirituality into the life of